All right, Shalom. I want to start by saying, Call Allah, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Israel, aka the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. All right, real quick. So, I came across a couple of things. Actually, I came across a video on social media a brother posted, and it was actually talking about Burkina Faso, a country in West Africa. And along with Mali and Niger, they've been getting real cozy with Russia, so to speak. All right, so Russia, they met with Russia. They met with Russia in Moscow. I think it's like this article is from April 2nd. But if you realize, they're not too keen on putting this in the U.S. media, America's news, because here it is. You got America who has issues with Russia, who has issues with China, who has issues with all these places, and here it is. They're not telling the people what these other places that America has issues with are doing. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know what the fuck, whatever for, but at the end of the day, you'll learn a lot more straying away from American news, because this is from Business Insider Africa. And a lot of the news outlets that I see are not U.S., not in the U.S. It's not CNN, not NBC. There, so the U.S. media is not informing the public, the American public, about these moves that the quote-unquote ops and the enemies are making. And one thing I heard in the video the brother posted was that there were ICBMs involved. That's why I said in the title, possible ICBMs involved. Because now it has Russia. The whole agreement was they're giving these countries in Africa military support and military aid and whatnot, weapons and so on and so forth. So, and I might bring out a couple articles because there's a couple more articles. This article's a little old, but it's a little more recent ones. But this is the one I was decided to land on real quick. So this says this from Business Insider Africa, and it says Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso foreign minister to visit Russia this week. Now this article is from April 2nd, so they met a couple weeks ago. But you didn't hear nothing about that. I didn't hear nothing about that in the U.S. news. So here's a couple key factors. It says foreign ministers of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger to visit Moscow to deepen ties with Russia. Now, if you know anything about Gog and Magog that's mentioned in Ezekiel 30th chapter, that's talking about the land of Russia. And it talks about Egypt, and I believe it said Ethiopia, I believe. Now it goes into these Hamites. Now, granted, that's not the actual spot, Ethiopia or whatnot, but at the end of the day, you have to take it as let's talk about the whole nation of Ham. All right, and it says the upcoming visit visit to Moscow is the first session of AES Russia consultations to establish deeper ties. Now, what deeper ties you think that's going to be of? It's going to be of weapons, man. Weapons, trade of resources and goods. And here it is. You got all this terror shit going on with America. America about to get phased out by the world. These are things that's ongoing. Yeah, this article is from April 2nd, but it continues. The prophecies move forward nonetheless. So it says the junta-led government seeks to build strategic partnerships with non-Western nations and has shifted military cooperation towards Russia, a country in Africa, which it says what? Talks about that great company that's going to come with Gog and Magog, which is Russia. It says the foreign ministers of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are set to visit Moscow this week, which is a couple weeks ago, as the Sahel nations work to deepen their ties with Russia, according to a joint statement from their foreign ministries on Tuesday. It says the three West African nations, all governed by military juntas that came to power through recent coups, have withdrawn from the Economic Community of West African States, which is the ECOWAS, and established the Confederation of Sahel States, which is the AES, which was they just mentioned. It says since they withdraw from ECOWAS, the junta-led government has sought to strengthen self-reliance and build strategic partnerships with non-Western nations. So it means what? They're not trying to deal with the West, which is mean what? NATO, America, the EU, what have you. It says in recent years, they have expelled French and other Western forces, shifting their military cooperation towards Russia, which is what? What Putin and them and Russia have been talking about? What, going to war against what? NATO. Or going to war against the EU. And it said during their visit on April 3rd and April 4th, The ministers will meet with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov at his invitation, the statement added. It says the Moscow meeting, this is the ministry speaking. It says the Moscow meeting represents an important step in establishing strategic, pragmatic, dynamic, and supportive cooperation and partnership relations in areas of common interest between AES and Russia, the ministry said. It said the upcoming visit, which already happened a couple weeks ago, it said the upcoming visit to Moscow has been described as the first session of AES-Russia consultations, signaling a formal step in deepening ties between the Confederation of Sahel states and Russia. But here it is. You don't hear this on American news. You don't hear this on American social. You don't hear this with all these U.S. News platforms. I ain't hear a peep about this, because even when I went into the search engine, there was no American news that was covering it. No ABC, no CBS, no USA Today. None of these, no New York Post. The New York Post be having a little bit sometimes on foreign things, but they keep it very brief. So it says, the three Sahel nations, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, continue to battle a jihadist insurgency that has plagued the region for over 13 years, originating in Mali before spreading across the southern Sahara, according to Reuters. Groups affiliated with both Islamic State and Al-Qaeda have been responsible for the deaths of numerous people in the region. Now, hold up. Al-Qaeda, that's the U.S. sold out to Arabs, I think, Al-Qaeda, and it said was it Al-Qaeda and jihadists. That's some of them Islams, man, them Arabs. But those could be Arabs that could be paid for by the West, though. Because why else would they be coming at them? That's just me speculating. Okay, so I have another article. So you have another article, which is from a week ago. It says, list of African countries. This is also from the Business Insider Africa. List of African countries with some kind of engagement with Russia's private military. Step on that. Okay, so so it says, list of African countries with some kind of engagement with Russia's private military. Over the last few years, the Wagner Group, a Russian private military firm, PMC, has played a growing role in Africa's security scene. So it says, although best known as a mercenary organization that provides hired guns to automatic regimes, the Wagner Group is the mercenary arm of a complex network of corporate entities that cooperate and are interconnected, including companies involved in extractive industries such as mining, political strategy, and influence organizations, and the aforementioned mercenaries. This is according to the Gray Report, which has likened the group's activities in Africa to that of an organized crime group. While this assessment is contentious, there is no denying the increased activities of the Wagner Group on the African continent. It says, since its first documented military engagement in Africa in late 2017, Wagner has expanded aggressively. It has deployed troops to 5 African countries to date, while groups linked to the Prigozhin have been present in some capacity, either military, economic, or political, in over a dozen African countries, the Gray Zone report states. Now, this is a shot to America because, America wants to have its palms in everybody. But you have now Russia, who are also Edomites, moving the same way America's moving in that region. It's all. It says, despite being a private company, Wagner has strong ties to the Russian government, the report further claims. So this is a private group, but it says it has ties to the Russian government, which is ties to what? Putin, ties to the guard, Sergei Lavrov, all of that, man. It's all connected. It says, operationally, the organization has historically been associated with the Defense Ministry and the Military Intelligence Division of GU, previously GRU. Also, Wagner has used Russian military facilities, maintained a base in Russia alongside the GU, and received other forms of assistance according to investigations into Wagner, such as, in one case, passports issued to Wagner troops by the same Moscow office that issued to the Defense Ministry and the GU. So these are well-connected mercenaries. It says, in a nutshell, the report argues that Wagner's involvement in Africa is strategically tied to the Russian state. It says internal documents leaked in 2019 describe Wagner's strategy to exert influence in Africa, with one of the group's aims being to strong-arm Western powers, the U.S., UK, and France. Because even in that the video the brother posted about the ICBMs in Burkina Faso, it talked about the president of France being shook up about it, man. It says, out of the region and disrupt pro-Western political movements, which is more akin to a Russian foreign policy entity than a profit-seeking enterprise. You see that? Trying to strong-arm Western influence. And it mentioned the U.S., UK, and France. It says, similarly, the Russian government has supported Wagner's actions, pressing the UN for an exemption to the arms embargo in CAR, allowing Wagner military instructors to begin operating there. It appears to be a mutually beneficial relationship. While Wagner has a profit-making aim through leveraging access to natural resources and direct cash payments from governments that contract the mercenary group, this aim also often appears to align with Russian state interests. So these are not mercenaries or private groups that are going against the grain of the government. It says, contract the mercenary group says, this aim also often appears to align with Russian state interests overseas, as the services that the Wagner Group also promote Russia's political interests and seek to displace Western influence. The report says, now here, the key word, replace Western influence. Magog, the great company. It says, with that said, here are the African countries with some form of connection to the Wagner Group. Now, the Wagner Group is a what? A Russian mercenary group that's in line with the Russian government. Okay? So it says the list of, so it says country, and it says a country and type of engagement with Wagner. All right? So, one being Libya. It says military and political. Mali, military and political. Mozambique, military and political. Burkina Faso, political. Equatorial Guinea, political. Democratic Republic of Congo, political. South Africa, political. Zimbabwe, political. Sudan, military, economic, and political. Central African Republic, military, economic, and political. Kenya, economic. Cameroon, economic and political. Madagascar, economic and political. These are just 10 countries. Now, of course, as time goes on, you probably going to have more countries in Africa get more in line with Russia. And it says what? To stray away from Western powers. Now let's get to the scriptures. Because with that being said, with Africa and Russia having all these ties, and it's not just those three countries of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, it said 10 countries with Russian influence. So there's a book of Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 1, and it says, and the word of the Lord came unto me saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against it. That's the land, but present day, that land is now Russia. Because back then it went back to Japhet, but at present day prophecy, it's talking about, that was Russia. So it said, and say, thus saith the Lord God, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, behold, I am against thee, O God. Because remember, those are Edomites in Russia. And said, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, and even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. It says a great company. So not just their own people, but you have other people. Because what did Yahawashi say about wars and rumors of wars? It said kingdom against kingdom, nation against nation. So you have these devils. You have Esau against Esau for one, and then he's using all these other nations to further their plans, and still get these land for their reason. Because that's what they down for Africa for. Get those resources, man. Just the same thing that America's doing. Same thing America's doing is the same thing Russia's doing. It says the handling swords. It says Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 5, and it says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Now that article, one of the 10 countries, it says list of on the list of African countries with some kind of engagement with the Wagner Group, which is the Russia militia group, mercenary group, which is in league with the Russian government. Libya is number 1. Libya. And it's so this mercenary group, Wagner, the Wagner Group is a mercenary group in Russia that's in line with the Russian government and with the what Russia is about. So it's not some private mercenary group that's going against the grain of the Russian government. They're all in league together. They're all on one accord. So as it says. So that first country it says is engaged with the Wagner Group, with the Russian mercenary group, is Libya. Now look what the scripture says. Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 5, it says Persia, which is Iran, and we already know that Iran is heavily involved with Russia. It says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So that's why this Russian government and these mercenaries along, because not just the Russian government, this mercenary group, but you have Sergei Lebrov, whatever the fuck his name is. He went over, they all visited him. They all visited Moscow, and he dealt with them and told them that he basically got them. And that's part of that great company. It says, verse 6, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togama of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Now, what did it say in that one of those articles? It said from Al Qaeda and the jihadists. So it says what? Be thou a guard unto them. So that's what they're doing. They're supplying. They're going to supply them. It says they're supplying what? The 10 countries are supplied with military, economic, and political. So this all in line with what the scripture said. You're into that land, the Hamites, Libya, Mali, Niger. It said the Zimbabwe, Sudan, Central African Republic, Kenya, Cameroon. And it said all these 10 countries all with some kind of engagement with the Wagner Group, which is a Russian mercenary group, which is in line with the Russian government. I can't stress that enough. Gog and Magog. So yeah. So and you see what's happening with Iran. The whole meeting with they still talk about slightly attacking Iran, the small hats in America, not ruling it out. All this prophecy coming to pass. And all this prophecy about to come to pass. It's all brewing up right now. The Lord is brewing it up. The Lord is mustering hosts. Man, let me get that. I'm going to go straight to the point. So this is the book of Isaiah chapter 13, verse 4, and it says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. And that's what's happening right now. All the nations are gathering together. They're making alliances. Everybody's getting in line with someone that could, a superpower. These small countries with their resources helping the superpowers. It's all a game, and it's all what? War games. This right now is going on. These are war games, and it's not going to stop until the Lord has these devils and these heathens shoot missiles back and forth at each other. Nuclear, intercontinental ballistic, all of that. It said the Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. So YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI is doing this, because you don't hear nobody else giving their God credit for doing this, mustering this up. But YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI said he mustereth the host of the battle. So yeah, they ain't attacked each other yet, but it's in due time. And it's only going to get closer as the day goes on. It's only getting closer to it coming to pass. And it happening. They're about to do it, and then they're going to do it. So what the Lord is doing right now, he's mustering the host of the battle. He's brewing it up, stirring the pots, boiling it up. Verse 5 of Isaiah chapter 13, it says, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Now, what whole land is going to be destroyed? America. But what are those weapons, those missiles? Those missiles that the Lord has these nations building as we speak. Building. Nuclear, ICBMs. You got the whole thing with in Africa. I posted a video on my YouTube. It should probably be my videos on my shorts. It talks about ICBMs amongst Africa and Russia. Because what do you think military aid is? What is the goal here? What is the weapon? What is the weapons of mass destruction modern? These missiles, these intercontinental ballistic missiles, these nuclear missiles, these rockets, these drones, nuclear submarines, aircraft carriers. You see it. Everybody's sending shit everywhere. Everybody, you got America sending a whole bunch of shit down to the Middle East and down to the Pacific region, over there by China, Japan, the Philippines and all that, South Korea. Everybody talk about nuclear defense, air defense. Because what? The nation of what? Preparing for war. The Lord is mustering the host of the battle. So this is the book is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 6. Now it says, "How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand." So what? The day of the Lord is at hand. What does the day of the Lord imply? The day of the Lord implies that these nations go to war with each other and then they go to war against the Lord. Hence, 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter. That great multitude that the Lord is going to turn into smoke. When you read that 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter, that's talking about when YAHAWASHI comes back in the midst of all the nations fighting. And that's when that's when the deliverance comes. That's when the elect get delivered. Because that's what this is about. These motherfuckers destroying themselves and the elect being redeemed out of the earth and being delivered up out of this bitch, man. Because we have no way to survive this unless YAHAWASHI delivers us. And that's what people don't understand. And you have people that, since they don't believe on YAHAWASHI, they just on some like, fuck it, it is what it is. It ain't going to be just, it is what it is, man. Don't you know what? When this nuclear bombs come on here, you're not going to just die. The Lord said he's going to leave spirits and bodies and have you burn. And said you're going to burn in front of the Lamb and the holy angels. Ain't going to be, you just spirit legion, but no. So yeah, this is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 6, and it says, "How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty." And that's what those nuclear missiles are going to do. It's going to completely destroy America. It's going to destroy Israel, but it's going to be built back up. But this land known as America, Babylon the Great, the Lord said this shall be wildly desolate. This shall be completely, utterly destroyed. It ain't going to never be built back up. This place will never be inhabited again. That's the future of America. So ain't no make America great again. America was the greatest it could ever have been now. Now it's time, it's the decline. No matter what Trump says, no matter what he's talking about he won't bring peace, but yet you just doing this war shit all the time. Sending shit over to the Middle East, sending shit over there to the Pacific region, all these tariffs and trade wars you got going on. How you think that's going to fare for America in the long run? You already got American economy about to collapse. You already got the people, these high people in the financial industry like Jamie Dimon, the CEO of Chase Bank, talk about another recession is on the way. You got Elon Musk talk about it's going to be another recession, another emic. This is all part of this devil's plan to bring that new world order. Crash this dollar and bring in that sea hit, man. That's what this is ultimately about. Because that's the last part of the story. The Lord has started the wars and rumors of wars and threats of wars, nation against nation. You already have all that happening. And then you still have the persecution of the prophets. The hour of temptation. That's coming as well. So what we have to look for brothers in the truth and the believers of BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, the persecution of these devils is coming, man. You see what they're doing with this whole, the sending people to prisons in El Salvador and overseas, right? Sending he said homeborn teas. That's what Trump said, homeborn teas. Who do you think he's talking about? Who's speaking, quote unquote, tea to America? The prophets of YAHAWASHI. But it don't matter because YAHAWASHI already said this place is going to be destroyed. And you can't stop that. Trump can't stop it. J.D. Vance can't stop it. None of you fucking maggots, nobody can stop it. Because you can kill as many niggas you want. The Lord is allowing that. But the Lord is also going to allow this place to be bombarded with nuclear missiles. And that's why they're scared over there what Iran is doing. Because that's what? That their main interest was, those 48ers. Because, 48ers in America, they They all in the sandbox together. It says, verse 7, it says, therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. That's the time we coming in, man. It said what? The mighty man shall cry bitterly in that day. The day of the Lord shall be what? A day of distress, gloominess, darkness, not light. Power grids down, screaming. It says it should be wailing and gnashing of teeth. And when the Lord comes back with his brightness and his salvation, then is he going to completely wipe this bitch out? Hey, when you jump down to verse 9 of Isaiah chapter 13, it says, behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinner thereof out of it. Now, what land is it talking about? Because we go to the first verse, it says what? Isaiah 13:1. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Now we go to Babylon. It's not talking about Babylon back then. It's talking about Babylon the Great. Even when you go to Isaiah the 47th chapter, the same book, some chapters down, or chapters up, it talks about what? The daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great. Same Babylon the Great, daughter of Babylon, mentioned Ezekiel, Revelation the 18th chapter. That whore. That's the birth. And he says what? It said, when you jump from verse 1 to verse 9, it says, behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinner thereof out of it. The sinner thereof out of it. So who he's going to deliver? He's going to deliver to what? The ones that receive mercy. The ones who the Lord imputed not iniquity. Because we're all sinners. We all have sinned. Every Israelite is no Israelite with no sin on, not no sin on his jacket. But at the end of the day, the Lord said what? YAHAWASHI, the thing that YAHAWASHI did what? The remission of sins. The sins are forgiven. The Lord will impute not iniquity on you. That's why YAHAWASHI is so important. That's why he is the deliverer. Because of what he did, he was given the power to deliver the Lord's elect, to deliver the remnant of Jacob. The ones that have sinned, but the Lord said your sins are forgiven due to YAHAWASHI. And that's why you have we get on people that talk about YAHAWASHI is not important. Are you kidding me? YAHAWASHI he's the most important piece of the puzzle. He says he's the Alpha and Omega. The first of many brethren. The one that was alive and dead. The one that came in the flesh and didn't sin. Colossians, the first chapter. The Lord said, what? All things given unto my dear son. Hebrews, the first chapter. The express image of what? The Heavenly Father. And he's about to come back. He's about to come back with the cruel and wrath and the anger of the Heavenly Father. And he's going to express that on the earth. That's why I said what? It shall be desolate. Because when the Lord come back, when the Lord get through with this land, especially when the Lord gets through with this shit, it should be no more. It says it's going to be basically a desert. Verse 10, it says, for the stars of heaven and the constellation thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. That's funny because when we talk, I was talking with a brother like some months ago, we talk about how like when the nukes, like when the news go back and forth and all the smoke and the mushroom clouds, what it say, like should go like a scroll, Revelation the 6th chapter. That darkness, that smoke, it's gonna block out the sun, block out the moon, block out the stars. You're not gonna be able to see above you, because all it's gonna be is what? This place is gonna be a lake of fire. Because once the Lord has these weapons of his indignation unleashed on America, if you're not delivered up out of it, all you're gonna see is fire and smoke. You're not going to be able to see the sun. You're not going to be able to see the moon. You're not going to be able to see the stars and the constellations thereof. You're not going to be able to see above you. All you're going to see above you is smoke. That's why the Lord said the day of the Lord is darkness, not light. That smoke that's coming. Think about, we're talking about nuclear warheads, man. We're talking about nuclear missiles. When they land over here, it's going to blow up everything. The radiation, the nuclear smoke, the blast radius, all that shit, the science of it. And then YAHAWASHI gonna come back. And he's gonna bring more fire on this place. Okay, so going forth in the moonshine. Verse 11, it says, and Isaiah 13:11, it says, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. What? He said, I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. How, you hear how Trump be talking? How arrogant and proud. You hear how Americans be talking now that Trump is in the office and all this shit? How proud and arrogant they become. And here it is, the country's in the worst, getting in the worst predicament. Now, granted, you have some people that, saying, I regret voting for him, yada, 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 yada. But at the end of the day, the pride, the arrogancy of America still remains the same. You don't think it's about to be destroyed, even though all the signs are pointing to it. And you see how this war is the trade wars and the already wars that's going on, how it's triggering something very major. So while you have Russia going to Africa saying, yo, yeah, we got y'all, we give y'all this, we give y'all that. Going to Iran saying, yo, we got y'all, that's an ally of ours. Now, and you got America, the small hats talking about, yeah, we still need, it's a possible attack on the table on Iran. The whole thing with China, the whole thing with Taiwan, the whole thing in that region. You got a bunch of wars. You got a bunch of wars and conflicts. You have all these conflicts, and America's involved in every single one. Literally. That's another reason why you a whore, and America's the whore. Think about it. All the current controversies, all the current conflicts, all the current wars, America's involved in every single one of them. Literally, every single one. Every single one. Russia, Ukraine, they involved. China, Taiwan on them, they're involved. Africa, they're involved. Because, it said what? What did the African countries say? To flee away from Western, what is it? Oh, shit. Hold up. Yeah, what did it say? Hold up. Move back to the article. It says, yeah, it said the junta-led, which is the three Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, said the junta-led government seeks to build strategic partnerships with non-Western nations and has shifted military cooperation towards Russia. Which means what? We're not trying to deal with America. We're not trying to deal with Europe. We're not trying to deal with those Edomites. We're trying to deal with Russia. Because they see who got the momentum. And Russia, the Lord said he's gonna put the hooks in their jaws. And he said it's gonna be a great company with them. And the Lord is building that right now. These are the prophecies coming to pass as we speak. That's how we know that this book is faithful and true. Talk about the scriptures. And ironically, it mentions Libya in this article, of one of the countries that's in league with this Wagner mercenary group in Russia, that the group that's in line with the Russian government. Like, come on, man. Is that a coincidence? No such thing. This is prophecy. And it's only going to get worse for America. And ultimately, all you nations. Because at the end of the day, y'all all still going to deal with YAHAWASHI, including Russia, including China. Y'all still going to deal with YAHAWASHI because y'all land not going to be destroyed like America is, but you're still going to be put in captivity. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Was there any more? No. I'm going to read up to verse 13. So here where it gets really good. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12, and it says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Therefore, verse 13, it says, therefore I will shake the heavens and the earth, and shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. Now, it also said that in what? Good quick precept. It said shake the heavens and the earth, right? Was that? So this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse. I'm going to the point. So this is Hebrews chapter 12, verse 26, and it reads, whose voice then shook the earth, But now he hath promised, saying, yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. Just like he said in Isaiah the 13th chapter, he's going to shake the heavens and the earth. The heavens and the earth. He about to get it shaken. Literally. And America's not going to survive at all. 2/3 of our people are not going to survive that's left in America that want to go in the ways of Esau. Only people that's going to be delivered from this great destruction that's coming to America and certain parts of the certain parts of the earth, period, is the elect. It said what? The elect shall be redeemed out of the earth. They shall meet him in the air. Hold up. Was that 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16? It says, for the Lord, talk about YAHAWASHI, who the world called Jesus. It says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead and YAHAWASHI shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain where? In the earth, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, which is the chariots, the so-called UAPs and all that, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. These are the words of comfort. These are the words to live by. These are words to keep your faith going, man. Because the times we coming and we're going to need all the faith in Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHWASHI that we can have possible, which is infinite. It's never enough faith to have in Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHWASHI. We're going to need it because times are going to get dire. Even for brothers, man. It might not get dire for every brother the same way, but things are going to get real bad. To the point where, like, yo, you're going to be thinking, like, yo, damn, I hope damn, is it a wrap for me? Because sometimes, your brother, you can feel like, yo, damn, like, yo, I ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you feel like, yo, you marked. But that's a fear. That's a fear of Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHWASHI. Fear you not me, the Lord says. Righteous as filthy rags. So we always gonna feel shitty, man. He said righteous as filthy rags. And we go to the NLT, I think it said mistress rags. A mistress rag. So, but yeah, man. So there you have it. Ezekiel 38th chapter playing out before our very eyes. The whole thing with these African countries, Sudan, Central African Republic, Mali, Niger, said Cameroon. Who else it said? Hold up. Libya, because like what, Ezekiel 38 was at 5? Yep. So it says list of African countries with some kind of engagement with the Wagner Group. Now, the Wagner Group, you wasn't here. The Wagner Group is the Russian mercenary group that's in league with the Russian government. So it says Libya is one of the countries, Mali, Mozambique, Burkina Faso, Equatorial Guinea, Democratic Republic of Congo, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Sudan, Central Africa Republic, Kenya, Cameroon, Madagascar. The Great Company, Gog and Magog, Ezekiel 38th chapter. It said they involve military and political, some of them. Some just political, some military, economic, and political. These are the ties that they have with this Russian mercenary group, which basically you have ties with Russia. Gog and Magog. There you have it. We're about to be good to go. So soon enough, these devils, these motherfuckers are gonna bring in this sea hip. They're gonna bring in this sea hip. Because we have not much time left. I mean, what else do they have to do? We got the persecution, of course. We got Jacob trouble, but it's all gonna be intertwined together. There's gonna be remember, the Lord said the prosperity of the wicked is short, and now we at his end. That's why he's moving the way he's moving. All right. So, with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, KAKADASH. Double honors to the apostles of Israel, aka the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth and all truth and sincerity. Shalom.